Hey guys, it's Gameology Alex, and I'm here with you today to discuss 3 things you can do to make your communication better the next conversation you have. 3 things to focus on when you're communicating. If you do these 3 things, your conversations will start going a lot more smoothly. Number 1 is listen. It sounds really obvious. It's something we're all supposed to be doing when we have a conversation, yet it is something that we don't actually do most times. Let me explain. When we're having a conversation, even when it's our turn to listen, what happens is your agenda and what you want to say doesn't just stop playing in the background of your head because it's your turn to listen. So what happens is that agenda is so loud that you can't actually hear to listen to what someone else is saying. And there is a very big difference between hearing and listening. Listening is when you actively turn off your agenda, turn it all the way down. You've paused it. It doesn't mean you've abandoned your position in a conversation. It simply means you're not playing it in the background of your head while attempting to focus on this other person. Because the reality is, in order to fully listen to someone, you can't be doing anything else. It's much like texting and driving. Well, your text messages might not look that great because you're driving, and also your driving might not look so great because you're texting. So our brains are really set up to do one thing at a time. So in communication, it holds true as well. We should be only doing one thing at a time when we're having our conversation. So when we listen to understand, we're actively turning that agenda off in order to tune into the mindset of this other person. Listen for key words, watch their body language, all the things that you simply cannot do when you are trying to figure out what you're going to say as soon as they stop talking. Another thing that happens when you don't listen is you might hear 1 or 2 things that triggers that agenda to turn back on. Well, when that happens, you might have listened for that first couple of seconds, but agenda's turned all the way back up again because a trigger word like you make me feel, if the other person is saying you make me feel, that might trigger something in you that could get defensive. But rather than doing that, it's important to listen, let this person finish to fully understand the context of what this other person is saying, because listening and context truly walk hand in hand. So that's number 1, listen. The second thing to make sure you're doing when you're having your conversations is to acknowledge what this person has said. So number 1 was listen. Now that we've listened without that agenda bumping into what this person is trying to say and interrupting our focus, we have listened. Now it's our turn to prove we have listened. And why do we do that? Well, we do that because we would like that in return when it's our turn to speak. But it's also because when you're having a conversation with someone and you want communication to go really well, the best things you can do include proving to the other person that you are totally focused on them. Your conversation could be about something that is potentially negative or makes both of you nervous, and it still can go very well so long as you are respectful in the way that you are listening and acknowledging the other person. So what is acknowledgement? Acknowledgement is when you have listened to understand this other person, and you are going to then reiterate to them a summary of what they have said to let them know that you have listened. It's not enough to just be saying when you're communicating, I hear you. I hear you just means, well, you're awake today and your ears are functioning. But when you understand someone, you will have no problem saying the things that they said back. So if someone says to you, I really just want to talk about the fact that I'm feeling underappreciated in this relationship, and here's why. Rather than getting defensive, we're going to acknowledge what that person said. I understand that you're feeling unappreciated because of the following reasons that they let you know. That is all acknowledgement is. It is not saying I agree with you 100%. It is not saying you are right, I am wrong. It is literally saying I am acknowledging you as the person who has taken this turn to talk, and I am acknowledging your position on these things, and I want to make sure that I heard you correctly, because it is very important to me as we continue this conversation to make sure I understand your position. That's number 2. The third thing you need to be doing in your conversations is partnering. Partnering is where you really get the opportunity to transition your conversation back to your agenda, as well as finding some sort of a solution for whatever comment, concern, complaint that this other person is mentioning, and really just work through things. Not everything has to be an opportunity to butt heads. Everything can also be an opportunity to come together and move forward. I think a lot of times what happens when we're communicating is we set ourselves up, that agenda once again, to fill in too many blanks with negatives. But if you truly go through this process of listen, acknowledge, and now step number 3, partnering with this other person to move forward, you're going to see that the resolution of your conversations is going to end up going in a positive, productive direction, which is the point of communication in the first place. So, what does partnership look like? Partnership looks like this. Back to our example of I feel underappreciated. This person in the relationship with you is telling you this. You have listened to them. You have acknowledged where they stand on this. Now, partnership is where you bring both of you together and you don't use a lot of I in that. Where people go wrong is they abandon partnership and they will go on just their opinion. But if you want to get things done and have a happy resolution to whatever this conversation is about, it will sound like this. I'm understanding from you that you feel unappreciated because I work all the time or I get home late from work. And that is something that I certainly do not want you to feel. If I'm in a relationship with you, I don't want you to feel that way. I'm understanding that you do feel that way. I'm trying at this point, after hearing you, to figure out what we can do to move forward so that you understand that when I'm not home, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with these other obligations that I have going on, and perhaps these other obligations are for you and your partner. So you say that. You say, I'm at work late, I'm working late, I'm focused on that for us. And I truly am sad about the fact that in my effort to do that for the person that I care about the most, you're left feeling totally unappreciated when I'm kind of doing this because I do appreciate you. I want to provide for us. I want us to be doing this and focusing on our individual things so that those things can come together for this partnership. So let's figure out a way that moving forward, we both are communicating when we're working, even sharing more of what we're working on so that you feel included. Do you think that if I included you in more of what I'm doing at work, that you would see that it's not you that I'm not appreciating, it's that I'm balancing my time? And also, what I'm going to do is make a larger effort to make sure that you're not neglected. So, though I work a lot, when I'm not working, maybe we can plan more of a schedule to do things together. That's partnership. Partnership will never sound defensive. Partnership will never get angry because someone else has expressed how they feel. And when you go through these steps, the beauty of it is the other person will feel so fulfilled in their expression that it's going to alleviate some of the problems right then and there because you have simply tuned in to your partner. And so those are the 3 things that you can do right now today, right now in the next conversation that you're presented with, where someone needs to express something to you or communicate to you. You can show the trajectory of that conversation's end by simply following these steps to listen to the other person, turning that agenda off, acknowledging what they said by simply not repeating verbatim, but give an inclination that you have listened to everything they have said and ask them for clarity if you missed something. Following that acknowledgement, and you get to the chance where it's your turn to really speak, you show that you want to move forward in a partnership way using verbiage that indicates that. Not so much I, a lot more we, and hopefully you will see results immediately, which there is no better way to practice and keep doing things than when you see them working out. And this is one of those things where I assure you, you will see it working quickly and you will get addicted to following that path when you're communicating. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you want to hear more about communication, hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.